I'm here in Glastonbury and I'm with a dear friend, Sally Pullinger, and I'd like to introduce Sally a little bit more. I've spoken a lot about Sally's work with the Isis and the Soul Logos essence, the Gaia essence, but I thought it might be nice to actually meet her and she can say a little bit about some of the work. And today we've just had an amazing session that new essences come through, and as Sally going into trance, a lot of very powerful spiritual beings have come through her. So I thought, you know, we might just find out what's it like as a trance medium with working with those energies coming through her.
Hello, I'm Sally, and this amazing being Ian comes to visit Glastonbury once a year on his travels, his world travels. And he came first, we worked it out about 12 years ago, and it's been a kind of exciting adventure watching Ian developing. He has all these brilliant ideas, and then he comes and calls to spirit, and that tends to be the way. You call to spirit and they come through. So Ian has asked for these remedies. Well, I don't exactly know how it goes, because the honest truth is I go into trance, so I am aware of some of what happens, a lot of what happens often, but yeah, it's a pretty extraordinary experience because I am going into a very altered state, and the energies that are coming in these days, I mean, I've been 40 years more, 42 years a trance medium, and these days I am experiencing, well, I think it's divine presence. I think you could say divine presence. It is divine presence, Solar Logos, Christ energy, the you know, Isa, Isis. These are divine presences. So that's what I'm experiencing, and it's a pretty extraordinary journey that Ian is bringing in. So the client who comes is the one who is really inviting the energy in. I'm just there, and the spirits are coming in response to that being. So working with Ian is, well, it's everything you know of Ian as you work with Ian. I mean, he is a shaman. He is bringing through amazing healing beings, essences anyway. He's bringing in spirits, working with you, and then the combination of those energies, I experience the power that's coming through that. I'm experiencing it as a oneness. So today we did this so there was more than this we here, there was many beings. So Chung Fu, my guide, brings through a lot of ascended beings, a lot of angelic beings. A friend of ours once said he seems to be friends with all the great beings up there, and it's a bit like that. He seems to have mates all over the cosmos. So if someone wants to have a certain kind of healing, he brings this being in and that being in. So today it felt like there were a lot of angels in, there were a lot of beings of light, like ascended beings. It's like a feeling of, I'm just sitting on this kind of cloud. It's not even a cloud, it's actually like, if you can imagine a cloud being made of light and slightly springy and like I'm like really high up. So I'm feeling these energies coming in, and then I feel this power coming in. So when Isa comes in, it's like all my breath goes, like she empties my breath, then she starts clearing my throat. I feel she's got a bottle brush and she's going to clear any mucus or anything out the way, and then she starts on this really high note, and then I feel she's clearing my top centers, and then we're off and away, and she's got her hands out and she's like a winged being, and I think we're going to kind of take off, and we sort of do, and then I'm in this kind of serendipitous, ecstatic, amazing, I mean, I'm in love. I mean, that's like being in love for me. I am in a kind of weird world, probably. Everybody out there probably think I'm a bit weird, but I'm in love with the spirits. I'm in love with Chung Fu, with Isa, with these beings. I'm like, oh my God, take me to heaven, you know, because it's really real. It's in my body, or I'm in that body. You know, Ian asked me to answer this question, so I will go a little bit deeper, that when I go into Isa, it's like I'm walking down this corridor. It's a very golden light. I think it probably is Egypt. So I go into this part of my being that is in some sort of present time reality that actually is now, but it's probably then, but I experience it as now. And I'm walking down this corridor, and I get to this huge open space, and it's all kind of white. Everything's very white, white marble, white pillars, you know, these white pillars. And then I get to this area, and then it's like, it's completely flooded with golden light. And I can feel myself, I'm in that body. And then the next thing I know, I'm prostrated. I'm just like, I've fallen down on the floor. I mean, not fallen, I'm not hurt myself, but I find myself, and I'm inside this pool of golden light, and then the next thing I know, she's in me. So I don't know whether I go into her or she comes. I don't know how to describe that, but that's what it's like with Isa. It's the most ecstatic experience of all. I've always had the great good fortune all my life of feeling this beautiful, friendly guide, Chung Fu, coming into my body. I mean, he has been my mate, my kind, you know, father energy, really, all my life. And so I know that energy really well. But Isa has only been in for 3 years. So this is the 3rd year. And actually, Ian met Isa on the very first year she ever came in, 1 month. She came in 2014. That's when you made the Isa essence. And it was Chung Fu that said to Ian, you know, well, Isis can, you know, she can bless your remedy. And that was the first time that happened. So it came completely from the spirits. So it's been an amazing journey. And all of the work I'm doing at the moment, I've never done this level of work until the last 5 years. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
And, you know, Sally, you were saying of, you know, take me to heaven. Well, in a way, it's like the heaven coming back down to us, because I know when the Isis essence was created by Isa, the amount of love in the room was so incredibly strong. I just had tears thinking it was so palpable, that love vibration. So,
yes.
And I think most of the time, Isa was speaking not in a human language. So it was fantastic that afterwards that Chung Fu came through and translated, which has been often the case. So it's
absolutely. But actually, funnily enough, is that you say that, and that was 3 years ago, and for a whole year I had this experience of that star language and this kind of, well, actually, yes, a presence that I didn't know how to really mentate or equate. But you know what I experienced with this work, and it's the same with Chung Fu and with other beings, because there are other beings who come through, like we've had Archangel Michael come through, is that at first it's like they're just this presence, and it's just completely overwhelming. And as Ian says, I mean, my heart feels it's going to break, and you know, don't ever go away, just stay, don't go. And there's tears when they leave. But what happens is that they learn. So she has learned to speak. So she doesn't always speak, but we have audiences here where some of the very, you know, devoted Chung Fu students come, and she will speak to them, and it's just like, oh, because she'll always speak her sign language for a bit, then she'll speak. And so that has started to happen, and that's amazing. But that heartbreaking feeling, I have it every time. If I haven't gone to work for say a week, if I haven't done any trance work for a week, and I come back in here, and it's like, before she can come in, my heart has to kind of, so this kind of heartbreak thing happens, and I cry usually, and I'm like in this kind of, yeah, it's his love. She is love, and that's often quite a lot of what she says. I am the love. I'm the love in you. I am the love. So the divine presence, the way it works for me, is that it's that in you. It's in me. It's in you. It's that, and that's the work of Chung Fu. So I understand why Chung Fu has brought these beings in. It's like they're experiential isness presence beings, and that's what the essences are. That Ian, so he's like he's managing to, it's almost like he's got his hands out like that, and these drops are coming from the divine into his hands to bring to the world. And it's like the spirits have called him because he's out there, because he's going to take it out there, and they want that energy. You know, these beings coming in, they want that energy. I'm not the only channel of Isis. I've seen that out in the world. There are other channels of Isis. There are other channels of ascended beings. I'm really aware that we're working with there's a massive drive from the ascended realms at the moment to penetrate, to come in, to realize we're here. They're here. And that's one of the big works of Chung Fu. It's like, I'm here. I want to be your friend. And they're the same. They're coming through. So anyone like Ian, who's, not that there's anyone like Ian, but people who are doing good work in the world, they want to bring their presence in. And so we've done some really strong work with these beings, brought their energy through onto recordings so that, you can have these direct transmissions, and the message is, we're right here with you. And one of the big messages of the solar logos and the solar lords, who are the transmitters of the solar logos, is give us your burdens. And that's one of the things you're working with, isn't it? With Isa, who's what Isis calls herself in this presentation of herself.
So I'm gonna, Jerome behind the camera, you can't see me, I'm Sally's son. I'm gonna ask you, Mum, when the solar logos first came through, because I feel like Ian's gang would really love to hear about that.
Well, of course, Jerome's a very relevant person to say that, because Jerome marched into the temple one day, and it was extraordinary. He asked a question. What did you ask, Jerome?
I said, who was that being that just came in?
Who was the being who just came in? So the being had been in, that was Isa. She, and he, no, it wasn't. Who was it? Because it was in 2012.
It was Miraeva.
It was one of the solar lords. So they had a heralding process. So Isa came in 2014 physically into me, but 2 years before that, it started happening that in Jerome's sessions. So Jerome's a very devoted channel himself, a developing medium, and a psychic and a shaman, and he's the one who brings all these amazing crystals, you see, into the temple, and they do great work with us. And Jerome comes in, and he's got this very strong relationship with Chung Fu, and there was a presence in the room, and it was that solar lord presence. This fills up the room with golden light, and he was having a personal session, and he decided to ask, who is that? Who is that being? And then he went further to say, because Chung Fu said, well, they're the solar lords. They're coming in at this moment on the earth because they're bringing the solar logos energy in. And then Jerome was, well, what's that? And who are they? And can you bring them in? And can we, and I'm going to get my recording equipment. And can you do that now, Chung Fu? And this is what Jerome does. He's completely like that with the spirits. Right, Chung Fu, can you bring in the lord of this and the lady of that and the goddess of this? And he's completely fearless. He's like, come on, Mum. And I'm like, really? Really? But it happens because he has that total confidence. And as I said, I work with people, so that's in Jerome, and that's really how the solar lords came through and how we came to that place of where we are today, where we're working so strongly. They're coming through all the time, and they're also wanting to expand their work. They're going out with Ian into the world. It's a very exciting time, and they are with you, and that's the main thing. That's my work. My great passion is, can you feel it? And that's the same for Ian. He wants you to feel these energies.
We might go and say how that spirit is also really one Chung Fu. They're really wanting to use the technology we've got to reach and have an impact on a greater level than what Sally can just do on a one-to-one, which is fantastic. So, like Chung Fu channel coming up, and like the teleseminars you do with Chung Fu, so to spread that message out. It's a wonderful vehicles we've got now for them to take and use to get those messages across. And I think I'm really excited we're doing the filming in here, which is the inner sanctuary, where so many of these beings have come, like sessions we're lying on here and hands-on healing of Chung Fu with the crystals and other things. So we're really experiencing the inner sanctum of where all this work is happening, where Sally comes down and does all this amazing work here. So, people have probably, seen the photos of us together, but, well, this is where it all happens. This is the place. So it's nice that we can show that to you, and hopefully at some point you can come here and experiencing it.
And today you have been making a new essence.
Yes, a very exciting one, which we'll tell you all about, a rainbow light essence. And it's a nice follow-on. It seems like we started with the Isis, Sol Logos, Gaia, and it's the next progression of how they all integrate and work together. So more information will be coming to you very
Yeah,
shortly.
very exciting. And it's all happening now. And the other thing that's happening now, and I think this needs to happen all over the world, is that people who are doing their own work at a high level and are, if you like, they're right up in their game or at the top of their capacity, need to come together. So me and Ian and Jerome and Sophie, my daughter, Sophie, me and Jerome, we're the Chung Fu team, and then Ian and Jane have a massive team of doing what they do, and we're feeling a way that we need to collaborate to empower each other's work and a work that we will create together. So it's really exciting because this year it feels like we've kind of begun, just beginning. And of course it does involve digital technology, using the internet, and, you know, getting this work and this word out to as many people as possible to inspire you in your life, and so you can inspire other people, and we can all be a massive feedback team of raising the energy on the earth for transformation and change, which I know is our common theme. Peace.
Great.
Amazing.
Thanks, both of you.
Thank
Yes,
you, Ian. Lots of love.